Hey everyone, Nick here, your host, to talk to you about Pax Unplugged in this bonus episode of Tabletop. You're probably a little confused why it's in your feed, but Mac and I, you've heard Mac before on previous episodes, went to Pax Unplugged last weekend, and we wanted to do a little episode to kind of unpack what we saw. I hope you enjoy the episode, and I will talk to you on your regular episode this Monday.
Welcome back to another episode of Tabletop, and today we are talking about PAX Unplugged, our kind of review of the event, things that we thought were really cool, some things we thought maybe is a pass if you see it on store shelves, and to talk about board games, deep dive with me, I have brought on the host with the most, Mac, you're back!
Hey, I'm back again, baby.
Hey, Mac, what's up?
Oh, just went to PAX, and how many hours did we spend over 3 days at PAX? It must have been 20. It's like over 30.
Yeah, we would open the convention and then met, like, I would usually leave before you. I think you left at the bell every day, right?
I left at the bell. So it was Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Friday, I was there from 10 a.m. to midnight.
Yeah.
Saturday, same thing. And then Sunday, unfortunately, the con ended at 6, but we had to leave at 4:30.
Yeah.
So I'm not a real gamer.
Yeah, I closed it out on Sunday, and that's when all the free shit happened.
Hey, let's go.
But Monday I left a little bit early, and then Saturday I stayed, I think, most of the time with you, and then left a little bit before you, but you're more of a gamer than me, and that's why I had you on today to talk about all of the different board games we saw. So for everyone who doesn't know, PAX Unplugged is kind of a board game mecca. It is one of the smaller scale, it's not as big as Adepticon or some
Gen
of the
Con,
the Midwest's board game conventions. But it's in Philly every year. It's hosted by the Penny Arcade folks, and it was a really good time. Just overall, this was my first convention ever, and I really enjoyed it. I thought that if you are somebody who doesn't like crowds, maybe take a pass or go on Friday or Sunday, because I felt like those were the days that I actually could interface with the booths and to see the people, the designers, and go to panels. Whereas Saturday it was just crazy how many people were there.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I thought that Friday and Sunday were a little bit more manageable, and Saturday was hard. I honestly, when I go to PAX, there were a lot of people that you have to sign up for panels ahead of time for some of them, and there are a lot of people that they're okay, 8 a.m. I'm signing up. But even then, it's not a guarantee, which is kind of shitty.
You basically can sign up for one thing. You have time in the morning to sign up for one thing at 8 a.m. on the app, because otherwise everything else is full immediately.
But if there's anything on there that you see that you don't have to sign up for, just go.
Yeah.
And you can just get in.
Even if you do have to sign up for something, just go, because people are flakes.
Yeah, they're absolute flakes. Well, because my friend, he went to one of the panels that he actually signed up for, and they were taking people for this role-playing game that he wanted to play in groups of 18.
Yeah.
But there were 200 people in line.
Yeah.
That had signed up. So he was just I'm just not going to do it. And then I'm sure some other people got to do it.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I think that this is a kind of interesting board game convention because it's really TTRPG focused too.
It was a lot, there were a lot of TTRPGs, especially for painting and playing, and a lot of different systems too.
Yeah, that's something I really enjoyed, was that Wizards of the Coast didn't have a booth, but WizKids did.
That's true.
And they sort of were this is the Dungeons and Dragons booth, but man, there were so many indie developers there. I met the guy who made 10 Candles. It's just so cool. Very nice.
Whoa, you didn't tell me.
Yeah.
You didn't tell me about that. Yeah, this is why we're doing the recap, because sometimes Nick doesn't even tell me about the cool stuff that he did at the con we were both at together.
Yeah, there were times where we were did Mac ever exist? I don't know. I haven't seen him in 7 hours.
7 hours, and I was and then you'd show up, and I'd be like, oh, has it been that long? And I've just been sitting at one game, playing it 4 times. But okay, let's talk good. Let's talk good. It's because we've given a little bit of an overview. I would say, good. It was you actually that turned me on to this, and then you got busy doing a mini painting thing. But I played this role playing game called Mazes.
Yeah, it's 9th level games. It's actually Nat Mesnert, who was on a few episodes ago, actually works with them a lot, develops games with them, and some of their games are released through that label. But this is their sort of flagship TTRPG, kind of like the Dungeons and Dragons equivalent of their kind of TTRPG arsenal. So yeah, so you played it.
I played it, and it was so I never played it before. They just sat us down, they gave us pre-gen characters, and I think it's kind of designed for like a one-shot or a short campaign style. Big props to my DM. I think that he was actually signed up to be a player.
Oh,
or
wow.
MC, I think they call it in mazes. I think he was signed up to be a player, and they literally like
We
one of
need
our
someone.
MCs can't make
Yeah.
it. Like, does anyone here know how to run mazes? And he like raised his hand.
Whoa.
But because of that,
Hero.
he didn't know the adventure at all.
Yeah.
And so we only got like halfway through. But that being said, in the halfway through that we got, it was very fun. And some
Yeah.
other people finished. Like my friend did it too, and he finished.
And
But
it's a D10 game or D12
no,
game? What
This is the
it?
cool thing about it.
Yeah.
Is that it uses D4s through D10s.
Okay.
But your character,
Yeah.
depending on your class, only ever rolls one die.
Ooh, okay. I love simplicity.
So just one.
Yeah.
So in your character, like, so my character, I played like the warlock equivalent.
Yeah.
And I only ever rolled a D4.
Ooh, okay.
That was my whole deal.
And it felt good? Like, was it like a beat or what was it?
It did feel good because, and this is why, and I mean, it felt good for one session.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I wouldn't want to play a full campaign only
Sure.
rolling a D4.
Yeah.
But the way that the game works basically is on a 1 and on a 1 and your highest number.
Yeah.
You always succeed.
Ooh, okay.
Until a certain point in the game, when like the darkness level, it's some mechanic that the DM can use, gets high enough.
Yeah.
Then the top number is a failure always.
Ooh, okay.
So as a D4 person, they're basically actions you can't fail at early
Yeah.
because you succeed on certain numbers,
Right.
not on like getting a high number. So
Yeah.
like if you have like a D10, you're like tanky because
Okay.
you succeed on like a 4 through 9.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So it's like just the percentage of time you succeed is going to be
Different based upon the die that you use, right? So, and it's very narrative. It's very simple. It would be a really good introduction to someone who'd never played a role playing game before.
okay.
They sold these little cassettes. It's like a cassette tape, like a literal cassette tape.
Yeah.
which is crazy. With also, of course, a link to download the music. A cassette tape of like music to back an adventure, and you only play for like the amount of time that the music plays.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how this session was too. So it was really fun. It was really cool. The people I was playing with were really nice. And although we just kind of like goofed around and had a good time, we only played for an hour and 45 minutes. We killed a bunch of skeletons. It was fun. It was
Yeah.
a highlight, I would say.
Yeah, I shout out to Nat. Thank you so much for kind of turning us on to that was going to be there. You were at the booth and really helped us find that cool thing that we would never have found otherwise. So yeah, mazes is definitely a really cool thing. They were also using like a black light for stuff,
Yeah,
right?
there was like it was called Mazes Till Midnight.
Yeah.
Because we were literally playing from 10 till midnight.
Yep.
And I think they were trying to do some blacklight thing, but I think there was some limit. Like they had a blacklight going on, but I think that the venue was like, oh, maybe don't do that. So they also had like a projector.
Yeah.
So it was like, I think that they designed the dice and everything to like glow under blacklights and to be like super thematic and cool. And then I
Yeah.
think the venue,
Kind
which
of
is just
put
like a
the-
convention hall, was kind of
Yeah.
like, eh. But we got the vibe. We got the vibe. They did a great job.
Yeah, they had-
big ups to 9th level games.
Yeah, when I was just sitting in the crowd because I was at a painting workshop and then came late, and it was very cool. Like they had like the big subwoofers with the music that was really
Yeah.
interesting. He was like, when the music stops, the world will either be in darkness or you will be a hero or whatever. And I
Yeah,
was
my
like,
world was in
cool."
darkness because we only killed some skeletons.
So yeah, I think that I was really sad I wasn't able to play, but from everything you said, I definitely was like, I'll definitely take a look at that as a game to do like a system review, or maybe even just like to play to kind of to throw my players for a loop a little bit. Like, let's try a new system, guys, and like this is a
It would actually be really good, I think, for like almost a game within a game. You know, like it's like, okay, like, you know, we're gonna play as these characters for like a session, which is like maybe a flashback.
Yeah.
Right? Like this is a flashback to something else that happened in this world.
Yeah.
That we've talked about in the history. And we don't want to learn a whole new character sheets. So here's how we're gonna do it. You can teach mazes in literally the guy taught it to us in like 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then we just played it.
You see, I love that, man. I love a TTRPG that sit down. Hey, do you got 5 minutes for me to explain some of the basics? Okay, let's go.
Yeah.
That's great. One of the highlights for me, and this is something that I hope we'll have an episode on in the future. I really enjoyed D&D Onslaught.
I knew you were going to talk about it. I knew it. I knew you were going to talk about Onslaught,
It's all
man.
I was talking about all weekend.
Yep.
It's an upcoming skirmish game by WizKids, and it is a miniatures game. All the miniatures came with the little preview kit we got, and you place them on the board, and you're essentially a band of adventurers going into a dungeon. There are, just like in like Kill Team or other skirmish-based games, there are objective points that you can secure in different win conditions, but it was also just really cool because there are monsters within the game that are like operating independently of either of the players, and all of the character cards, instead of having character sheets like in D&D, you have these little like little pads with all of the information and the attacks and everything on them, and they have little scrollers on like little wheels that if you get hit, you just like tick your health bar down, and like your whole like stat line will change once you hit bloodied, or like when you use a spell, a counter starts and you can track it each turn with the little wheel. It's like just such an elegant solution for a skirmish game. You'd never have to go to a box to like figure it all out. And something I really loved about the design of this game is that the last page of the handbook, because I got my hands on the full handbook and the preview one that we played with Mac, like the last page is just all the keywords and all of the symbols. Amazing. I love that in a design. It's just like, you know where they're going to be looking. Like, what does, marked mean? It's all on the last page. And then it comes with a bunch of scenarios where you go in and like there are different factions. I was asking them about like what kind of support that they might see later on, and they said that they were interested in releasing new factions, like different adventuring parties, and they said that they were looking to support competitive play so people can build like, parties that they really like, scenario play that they can go in and like really have like a head-to-head skirmish kind of feel, but in Dungeons and Dragons. Thank you so much for the WizKids for sitting me down and teaching me this upcoming game. It's going to be out in the new year, and I'm just so excited about it. I know I talked about it with you.
Good,
we played
man.
a little bit.
We played the preview kit, and it was really fun, and it really does give you that kind of like, like PvP in D&D, like it's not everyone's it's P&P in D&D is not everyone's cup of tea. Yikes on bikes. It isn't, right? It's not super fun.
Yeah.
And this does let you kind of live that fantasy of like, okay, let's do like
Player
one party against
player.
another.
Yeah.
Like what would happen if like two of your, favorite adventuring parties from your past of playing role-playing games like met in a dungeon and like we're trying to basically loot the same place.
Yeah.
And like what would they have to do to like find their way through? And it's a really elegant point system, really smooth game. Like literally you sat me down with it, and since I played D&D before, I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah.
Like pretty
it's
much
really easy.
Like we just sat down and like played. Like it was not hard. The characters all felt good to operate.
And they all felt pretty unique too.
They did.
Which I really like. There's like different mechanics where a ranged attack, like even the cover system.
Simple.
It's so simple. It's very, so one of the designers is a designer on X-Wing, or was a designer on X-Wing, which is one of our favorite games.
One of our favorite games of all time.
And like, it's basically just draw a line from corners of the bases. If it ever interacts with a wall or other debris, then it's just like, okay, they're in cover or you can't see them, one or the other. Very simple, very elegant. And like you said, Mac, it's very quick to learn and play, especially if you have a background with D&D and kind of understand the mechanics there. I think it's a lot of fun. I think that it's going to be like, if people buy it and start playing, I think you're going to find this like in the levels of like Kill Team and other skirmish based games, and like X-Wing and stuff like that. I'm interested to see what kind of modular support that they can put out too. Like there are item cards and loot cards and things like that, but it'd be cool to see how customizable that they can get with it. Like X-Wing, you can outfit your ship completely based on points, and I wonder what kind of play they're going to do with that.
And the minis are just like beautiful. Like, they're going to come like that in the box, right?
Yeah,
they're like pre-painted.
Yeah. But I can also see like there being a proxy market of people painting whatever they want or buying any WizKids model that they want.
Yeah.
It's for everybody.
Yeah. No, for sure. No, yeah, D&D Onslaught definitely a kind of highlight of the con.
And it was also one of the things that was like one of the few things at the con that felt like this is coming out soon and this is a first look. Like this was people sitting down with the designers, learning how to play this new game, and then like hyping you up for it. And I just felt it was a good con experience in general.
Yeah. The only other thing that I saw that was doing that, the only other people that were doing like full demo plays was Frosthaven, but they've been doing that since 2019.
How was Frosthaven? You sat down and played, right?
Yeah. I mean, I mean, Gloomhaven is I think my number one game of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like pretty close between that and a few other things, but I mean, it was awesome. Like Frosthaven was great. But it's just, what I was gonna say about it though is like they've been doing that since 2019.
Yeah.
And it's like for the people that backed it, like we're gonna get it soon.
Yeah.
And for other people, like they could buy it at the con, so that was kind of cool. But it wasn't like coming soon. It was just like here it is kind of thing.
Yeah, this is what we were working on. This is what you're waiting for.
Yeah. Whereas Onslaught, it's like it's coming out soon. I didn't really see a lot of that. There were a lot of like really short demos.
Yeah.
Of things all over the place, like your classic like Fire Tower is everywhere.
Yeah.
At all these cons, Fire Tower was there. Another one I wanted to talk about though was Ahoy, because we both played Ahoy.
Yeah.
So it's from Leader Games. They're back at it again with asymmetric tomfoolery.
For folks who don't know Leader Games, they did Oath, they did Leviathan. What was it?
Root, and they did Vast.
Vast, that's what it was.
Vast, and then Vast the Crystal Caverns and Vast the Mysterious Manor. Cole Worley is like the main designer over there. I'm not sure if he did all those games, but he definitely did Root and Oath and this game, I'm pretty sure. And it's an asymmetric game about
Love the art style. So good.
What is right here, Nick is gonna plug in the name of the artist that does Root, Ahoy, and all the other ones too. He's gonna plug it in right now.
Kyle Farron.
Man, what a great artist. Oh, I love that artist.
Wow, good job, Nick. We really remembered that name. But amazing artwork. He did the artwork for Fort 2.
Yep.
Just like
that's why it looks so familiar.
Yeah. So it's a game of like seafaring adventure where it's 4 players maximum and 2 players play as smugglers, and the smugglers are identical.
Yep.
They do the exact same thing. They bring goods all over the ocean by
literally
exploring
the exact same boards, both of them.
Yeah,
it's
exactly
like no
the same.
difference. Yeah.
And they explore all over the ocean, and they create they have new tiles come out that represent the ocean, and there's an island on each of the tiles, and they have to bring goods from one island to the other. And they're basically just trying to stay out of everyone's way and do their thing. Meanwhile, there were the 2 factions that Nick and I played who were just beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
While these 2 including each other and the smugglers, while they're just trying to basically gain control of different like boards and islands.
So there's the sharks, who are essentially like the evil empire. They're the play style of the sharks is you're going to have a lot of tokens on the board, and all of them can fight.
Yeah.
And then you were playing the trade union.
Yes,
right?
I was playing the trade union, and the trade union's whole thing is they just want to make allies on islands and put their allies on those islands, and as long as those allies are just sitting on those islands, they're doing a great job. They're basically like, you can play the whole game as them pretty pacifist. You don't need to fight anyone if you don't want to.
They're strong in numbers, because like when you do have combat, how many people are in the region on the islands directly affect how well your combat goes, right?
It kind of depends. So it's like, I think that because you can turn those people.
Yeah.
What I was doing with that was I was turning the people into ships. So you have 3 ships.
Yeah.
And you can turn 2 of your people into like a gunship, and that's like your really big fighting ship. But like your whole job is to basically just remain.
Yeah.
Just remain and hold on and spread your influence and just hope that the sharks can't kill you fast enough.
Yeah.
And in our game, the sharks couldn't kill me fast enough, and I won.
Yeah, the thing about that game that I really enjoy, but I will caution people who are more casual gamers, is that board gamers, I guess.
Yeah, casual gamers. Casual gamers, fuck off. Don't come near us, casuals.
How about you go learn how to play?
Yeah, go touch grass.
No, but like if you're someone who doesn't like a really strategic game, this one's deceptively tough. Like,
it is.
I sat down to play. I was 3rd day of the con. I could barely see, and I was playing, and it was really, really fun. It's a great game, but everyone is designed perfectly to keep each other in check.
Yes.
And if one player or a group of players doesn't know exactly how to utilize their character to keep the other people in check, then the whole game's balance is off, and like it's pretty crazy how how lopsided it can feel if like someone starts getting out of control, and it can be anybody. Like if I had put down all those shark tokens and just started beating the hell out of you guys before like you were able to explore, then that I think would have been a feels bad game. If like the smugglers, like I guess the smugglers really do just keep the other two in check.
Well, because you explored more ocean tiles really early.
Right.
And when you explored other ocean tiles, I had an ability where I could just spread supporters to like 4 islands that were out. And I was
then
like,
from that point on, I could never catch up because I just didn't have enough presence.
Yeah.
And so there was like, so it's a game where you're going to play the first game. You're going to be like, what the fuck was that? And then you're going to play another game and you're going to be like, that was really fun.
Yeah. And if you've played leader games before, if you played Root, if you played Oath, like like that's kind of the vibe, right? Like Root, like we played, you had played Root for the first time.
Yeah. We played Root a lot. And I would say I love Root. I think it's
so good.
It's one of my favorite board games I think that I've ever played. Just because, I know it's like, and maybe it's too soon for me to say that because I've only played like 3 games, but I just wanted to play one after another. Like I just wanted to keep playing.
And it's like, and it's getting up there in its years. Like it's an older game now, and the expansions that they add, like I've played all but one of the expansions, and they're all good. And the last one that I just got also adds like we were talking about this earlier, just like a new way to like kind of get your factions out on the board in a way that's like it kind of picks it for you in a more kind of strategic way, which is really nice. There's like a draft mechanic to it, but that game's old and it's not new.
Yeah, but we just ended up playing it.
But it was
for a
really
while.
good. We played it like 3 times. I couldn't get it out of the game library, and that was a problem too. Like the game library was it was huge, but there were so many people taking games out of it all the time.
There's got to be like 20,000 people in that hall. It was it's nuts.
It was nuts. It was so sick. It was so nuts. It was really fun, but I couldn't get it out of the game library, so I was like, you know what, screw it. I'm just gonna buy it. I know I want it. It's so good.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm gonna want it, so I got it, and then we played it like 3 times, like back to back.
And it was great.
And it was really fun.
And I played like 2 factions. It was really good. But like you said, this isn't a new game. Let's move on.
Yeah. Do you have any other highlights from the con?
So I'm trying to think of like new things that I had never seen before.
Yeah.
Like I said, meet the guy who makes 12 candles, who's super, super nice. Thank you. We want you on the podcast, so please come on.
Yep.
But he had another game after 12 Candles that he has released called like her like Winter Hunger or something.
Okay.
I bought it. It was $15. It was really nice. It's like a really easy one, like probably like 20-30 pages book, but it is another 10 Candles like game where it's a one shot 1 to 2 hour 4-player and a keeper kind of person. And what the kind of idea of the game is that you are winter spirits, like basically in a blizzard, and you are tracking down and killing somebody who is lost in the blizzard. And so it's like a really like thematic kind of weird spooky, very like Japanese like yokai kind of.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so it's like very cool, and it's I'm really excited to try it out and like tell everyone how it is, but it's something I got excited about. I saw the Inhuman Conditions guy. That's also a really great game if people haven't seen it. It's not new though, so I'm going to keep moving on.
He was literally there though, like in full cosplay.
Costume, yeah.
Like if anybody doesn't know Inhuman Conditions, it's the Void Contest from Blade Runner. Like that's what the whole game is.
Yeah, one person is the Blade Runner and one person is either a robot or a human being interviewed, and the Blade Runner's job is to either mark you human or robot, and it is so fun. So fun.
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. You know what? Another highlight from my con, Nick.
Yeah.
It's Pokemon, man.
Yeah, you guys love Pokemon, man.
Here's the thing. I haven't played the Pokemon trading card game since I was a kid. And I played it again and it felt new.
Yeah.
It felt new to me because so they had I think it's just worth mentioning like how cool their demo system was.
Yeah.
So
they gave you 30 cards.
Yes. They gave us a deck. They had a play lab set up where you could line up, and it went really fast.
Yeah.
Like the line went really, really fast. It was always really long, but it was, we got in there pretty quick. And they did like 3 little mini games that kind of showed you how to play the game, reminded you if you already knew a little bit. And then at the end of it, they just gave you a 30 card deck. And so after doing that, our friend Armando, has Armando been on the podcast yet?
No, he refuses.
He's an elusive man. We'll get him on the pod at some point. He's the best. But he was like, man, you gotta play Pokemon. We gotta do a tournament. We gotta do a tournament.
And you just did like a draft tournament.
Yeah, we did a sealed tournament where you opened up 6 packs, I think it was.
Yeah.
And
You drew like one of the big cards of the set too.
I did.
Right?
I drew like a crazy Lugia. Armando was like literally like, all right, man, if you see the Lugia, okay, it's no question. It just goes in your deck right away.
Yeah.
Right away, man. And I'm like, okay. First pack I open, it's the freaking Lugia. And he was like, you gotta be kidding me, man.
Yeah.
You know, because he actually like plays the game.
Yeah.
He like collects the cards and stuff, and I don't. But man, I just gotta give Pokemon a shout out. It was really fun. Support your local Pokemon scene if you can.
Yeah, and one thing that Armando said to me, because I was not in this, because I can't do a collectible card.
No. You can't be trusted.
It will destroy me.
It'll ruin your life.
So I didn't do this, but Armando told me later, he was like, and the like he was a little worried going in that it was going to be like a super hardcore, like I'm about to destroy you magic style thing. And he said that everyone was super nice, and like all of the Pokemon folks were just like really chill and like just had fun games and weren't sore losers or winners, and it was a good time. So yeah, go support your local Pokemon scene.
Yeah, people were talking about like their decks as they were building them, just like being like super like, oh, I found this, oh, this is cool, what are you doing? I'm doing this, oh, that's awesome. You know, like no one was being like super secretive or anything. Like it was great. It was a good time. We both did a couple panels. We did.
I went and did a panel on game design and how in a TTRPG you can leverage mechanics and systems to like make a better table. It was fascinating, man.
Dude.
Like we talk so much about different mechanics in Dungeons and Dragons and other TTRPGs. This guy, amazing. He was such a like really interesting person. He was a designer at 2K Games, so just a very, does this for a living. And he was like, yeah, there's only one mechanic in D&D, and that's roll dice and do the thing. Like either roll dice and do the thing or roll dice and don't do the thing. And that is literally the only mechanic in D&D.
It's true.
And he's like, when people talk about what they like about D&D and stuff, they are thinking of, like, they sometimes will say like, yeah, like my character has this really cool boyfriend and he has like a mohawk. And like, I really think that that's like super cool. And like, I love that about D&D. And he's like, well, that has nothing to do with D&D.
Yeah.
Like that's not anything to do with it. But yeah. But he also had a really interesting thing that we'll go into in a future podcast, but where it's like a grid, a box grid that says basically cool on one axis and like cool, uncool, and weak and strong.
Yeah.
And anything that you do in your games, whenever you're trying to put something into your game, home brewing or just playing a game, just think about it and say, is this a fun mechanic or an unfun mechanic? And is it a strong mechanic or is it a weak mechanic?
Right. So cool and uncool, strong, weak.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you're going to want to, and what he was like all the time, as much as you can, make and encourage your players and drive them towards weak and fun mechanics.
Yeah.
Because they love to use them. It's a blast, and they don't break the game.
Yeah.
And he was like, the only thing that's like a real no-no is strong unfun, because then people have to use it and they feel bad about it.
Right.
But he was like, movement in TTRPGs. Nobody gives a shit about movement. Like if you're out of range, you're usually out of range of your enemy too. So being able to run like 200 feet really doesn't matter. But he was like, but I love to do it. It's so fun and it's stupid, but I love to do it.
It's weak and cool.
Yeah, it's weak and cool.
And the perfect example, I think, like if we're talking D&D here for a second, I think the perfect example of like the fireball is strong and cool.
Yeah.
You know, it's like eviscerating your enemies with a big fireball.
It explodes.
That's why everybody does it all the time.
Yeah.
And the lightning bolt, strong and cool. We love it. You know, it's like that's why other third level spells never see the light of day.
Yeah.
Because of that. And that's what he was saying too, right? You mentioned this, that you don't want to have too many strong and cool things.
Yes. And one thing he said though that I am going to definitely bring into my games, and again, we're going to talk about this fully in another episode, but he was like, you're the DM, make it so that you not punish, but disincentivize strong and unfun or strong and fun mechanics. So like if your characters have min-maxed themselves so that they can do like a plus, 15 deception or whatever. They've built their character a certain way. They've chosen all the right feats. They've done all the right things. They've dumped all their stats into the right thing. Maybe you bring them to like a king, and the king is like, I'm really used to people just coming to me and trying to get what they want, and I'm giving you a chance. Tell me like what you want and be straight with me. And then you as a DM can say, okay, roll under a 15 deception.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you can do something like that. So they're like, shit, like my character is built to be a liar.
Yeah.
and this kid can see it.
Yeah. If he knows that you're a liar in general, that's great.
Yeah. And so it can be like a really interesting way to pepper that throughout your game so that you can incentivize your characters and your players to be built in different ways and to choose different types of play styles. So it's just it was a very cool panel. How about you? Did you see any panels that you were like, this is great?
Yeah, I mean, I most of the panels I went to were just like hee funny kind of panels. You know, like I'll just give some shout outs. Shut Up and Sit Down panel was funny. Their podcast is great. Go listen to that. I know that a lot of people watch their videos, but not a lot of people listen to their podcasts.
Yeah.
So go listen to that. And then the panel for the Gloomhaven RPG was cool because that was like a new announcement.
Yeah,
like,
that's
that was
RPG,
announced.
yeah.
Yeah. The Gloomhaven role playing game.
Also, did you know that Root has an RPG?
It does.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know how it works or like
me
what
neither.
the vibe is.
Well, they said, okay, so this is taking you on a tangent a little bit, but I talked to the folks at Indie Press, another group of folks that I would love to have on the podcast sometime. They publish a bunch of independent TTRPGs. You can go to their website. It's Indie Press. Just type into Google like Indie Press TTRPG, and it'll bring you right to them. But they have the distribution rights for the Root TTRPG.
Cool.
And it's like basically you are somebody in the forest post a game of Root.
Oh, cool.
So a faction has taken over, and you are one of like any of the factions now in this setting that has like all the remains of the other factions still left, and you're kind of like playing within that. It's very interesting. I like it.
That's a cool set. I mean, the setting of Root is just so evocative, and
Yeah.
it's such a storytelling game, really.
And you could do like a cool thing where you could play a game of Root and then like write down like big things. Like remember when we were playing, we had that huge like fucking like mess
there was
of a
there was
war.
the 1,000 Years War.
where we had just like
12
16
birds, 13 cats, 1 clearing.
Yeah, and then you could be like, okay, I'm in my TTRPG game, there is this one clearing that is like
Decimated by war.
Yeah, the Gettysburg of,
Yeah,
of the Root world.
Yeah, thousands of bodies and cats and birds lie here together,
Yes.
dug in shallow graves.
So the Gloomhaven RPG announcement was cool.
It was cool. It's just like, it's interesting because it's like a lot of people I think look at Gloomhaven and they go like, this is a role-playing game. And I
Yeah.
go, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And don't buy it thinking that because you're
Yeah.
going to be 1, disappointed, and 2, maybe even angry. Like seriously, like I know some people that are like, oh, I'm really into like D&D. Should I try Gloomhaven? And I'm like, do you like D&D combat or do
Yeah.
you like storytelling?
It is a straight like tactics war game.
It's a tactics combat PvE game. Like that's what it is. And so I'm really curious to see like what, like, cause I know that they're bringing in the combat. Like I'm curious if they're bringing it in like 1-to-1 or if they're changing
it's a
it.
deck builder in some ways.
It's
right?
it doesn't use dice at all.
it's
So it has a
interesting.
modifier deck of like +0, +1, +2. So the checks are going to be really low. Because it's like the beginning deck is +0, mostly +0s, some +1s, like 1 +2.
Yeah.
And then
And
the
that's like your
reverse
crit.
of that, and then a crit and a null. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna put it on my like watch list. Okay, let's shift a little bit to things that we were a little disappointed by, things you didn't like as much. What do you think?
Let's see. I mean, I guess in general, you know what I was really disappointed by? I'm a huge fan of Arkham Horror, the card game.
Yes,
Huge. I play it weekly. I have a group that plays every week.
it's so good. If you
It's
haven't played it, it's
so
good.
fun. It's incredible. And they just weren't anywhere.
They weren't there. Yeah, I was disappointed by that too. I was like, because they have an expansion that just came out.
Just came out.
I figured that they would be there, like hawking the new expansion.
None of the vendors had any of FFG's products in general.
Fantasy Flight was not
there. AMG wasn't there. They're the new producers. They're the new designers and producers of X-Wing, and also Marvel Crisis Protocol.
Yeah.
which is huge.
Yeah.
Right
It's
now,
like-
Marvel Crisis Protocol is up and coming, like miniatures war game. Nowhere to be seen.
Yep. And
They had a tournament, I think, but
Yeah.
that was in. It wasn't run by FFG.
Yeah.
So it's like, where the hell were you guys? Hey, where are you?
And also, like a lot of the tournaments that were, like there was some X-wing
Yep.
scenarios and X-wing tournaments and stuff like that. again, it felt like understaffed in a way.
It
just didn't
it did.
feel fleshed out, which was a huge bummer because those are really fun games, and like
Yeah.
the communities for them are great. And I would have loved to like I would have loved to like sit down in an Arkham horror theme booth and play a round of that game with you or whatever. That would have been fun. That would have been really
fun.
cool.
It would have been really fun. And I'm it makes me sad that like these big publishers aren't supporting these conventions. And I think that PAX Unplugged specifically is a smaller convention, and I get it. It's not in the Midwest where all the other things are. It's not in the Midwest where FFG is.
Yeah.
But it's like you couldn't come out for like even one day.
Yeah.
Like FFG is one of the biggest board game publishers in the entire world.
Yeah.
Asmodee. There wasn't any Asmodee products.
Yeah.
Which is like the parent company of AMG and FFG.
Yeah.
Or Fantasy Flight Games and Atomic Mass Games.
Yeah.
So it's like, that was I honestly think number one disappointment for me was that they weren't there.
Yeah, it was
They just
weird.
weren't there. They weren't showing off any of their new stuff. They just had a brand new one-shot scenario come out for
Yeah.
Arkham Horror, the card game, which is designed for large group play.
Yeah.
So like, what the heck?
Yeah, it was very strange. I agree, but like our whole group was like, where the hell are they?
Yeah, because it's like I've played Arkham with you and I've played Arkham with Armando, and it's like you guys don't dislike the game. It's just the full campaign of it is a lot.
And like having a one shot and being able to sit down with especially if it's a big group.
Yeah.
Like sit down with like randos. They're like, are we ready to do this? That would be so fun.
And give it a go. Like
Yeah.
that would be really fun. And I was disappointed by that.
My, I think, biggest disappointment by the con was the lack of like con exclusives. I felt like everything there was either already at market or was like, with a few exceptions that we've already talked about, or was, like you said, not run by the companies but run by the communities, like the tournaments and stuff like that. I felt like there wasn't a whole lot of like, wow, this is the only, like, I'm only able to see this at PAX. Like, this was the only time I'm ever going to be able to see this.
Yeah.
So that was a little disappointing. And I was a little disappointed by the layout of the convention center, but that's nothing to do with the tournament or the convention. It was literally like, I literally walked around for 45 to 50 minutes completely lost one night, and I got like 20,000 steps walking in circles around this convention center trying to find the way out.
Yeah, I think it's the Philadelphia Convention Center is not that well laid out. It's in like two buildings. And it's like the con staff like did their best, but it was not laid out well. And I think like even their map like wasn't laid out well.
Yep.
So like I totally agree. I totally agree about that.
Yeah, a few other things I want to mention. There's some stuff that I am still looking into. There's I kind of ran into on the last day a really nice group of folks who have a TTRPG called Demogorgons in Dark Places.
Okay.
And it's sort of like a Dungeons and Dragons sort of thing, but
Sure.
it was like their own like brand, and it's kind of Stranger Things
Cool.
adjacent. I was looking through the book. It looks really cool. They also have like a bunch of books that are essentially survival scenarios. Where there's like one that's like, how long do you survive zombie? How long do you survive alien? Kind
Cool.
of thing. And like you can run TTRPGs out of them because it's a unified system, and they have all of these kind of like books that's just like how like run this for your players. It's kind of a survival thing. Just play. There's another guy who was super nice, who made these D&D picture books for kids that were like about bullying and other stuff like that. Very cool. And he's actually releasing a TTRPG for kids that are like, it was really cool. He was showing me the player sheets, and even where stuff was like written out like strength or like I think it's like kapow or something for like the strength or whatever. But he's like, yeah, and for some kids who can't read or don't read very well yet, and he flipped it over and it was all just pictures. Like it was like, what does this do? And it's like someone like punching or whatever.
That's really
It
cool.
was really cool. I'm very excited. I want to have him on too to talk about developing games for kids because it seemed like so well thought out. Otherwise, shouts out to the Warhammer booth. I got a bunch of free minis because they're super cool. And
You finally got me into Warhammer.
I got you into
made me buy a
Warhammer.
Kill
The guy,
Team?
the guy who's demoing Kill Team really sold it for you. I was really happy. He was he was funny. It reminded me of our time as tour guides where he just like had his thing that he was doing.
He
and I
was great.
And it was like, wow,
I think his name was Chris, actually. I think I remember his name. Yeah, Chris from the Warhammer booth was really nice. Can I say one last thing?
Yeah, of course.
Here's the last thing I want to say, gang. This is me being on my soapbox, all right? I've been on the Reddits, all right? I've been on the Reddits, and I've been on the Reddits for Frosthaven, okay? and they were selling Frosthaven at PAX Unplugged. And some people are pissed that they were doing that. As someone who backed the game, I'm just gonna say, like, calm down.
Yeah.
Like, just calm down.
You're gonna get the game.
You're gonna get the game. I haven't gotten the game yet.
Yeah.
And people are mad because, like, the people that got add-ons are getting it later. It's like, guess what? For distribution people who are saints, like, this is way easier for them.
Yeah.
And guess what, gang? You got Frosthaven for $100. And Nick, do you remember how much they were selling it for at the con?
It's like $300.
$250.
Yeah.
$250, which, by the way, is probably going to be worth it.
Yeah.
But
just with the minis in it.
Bruh, if here's the deal. If I hadn't backed that game, you better believe I would have lugged that thing home with me.
Yeah.
I would have bought it for $250. So it's like, I don't know. This is a thing in board games where it's not necessarily gamekeeping, but it's just yucking other people's yums. It's like, well, I didn't get the cookie, so why should they get to have the cookie? It's like, just let them have a cookie.
Yeah. It's the thing I can't stand in communities is when people are like, they get the thing, but I'm supposed to have the thing.
Yeah.
It's like, you're all gonna get the thing. Shut up.
This is not, we don't live in a deficit society. Don't let them trick you, okay? Everyone can have a cookie.
Yeah.
You just might have to wait another couple weeks.
Yeah. And it's gonna be fun. It's from what I saw, because I got some of the free minis that they had in that thing.
They were giving out free minis at the at the Cephalofair booth.
So if anyone on that Frosthaven Reddit is like wants a consolation prize, I took like 3. Come find me. I'll give you one.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah, Frosthaven looks cool. I am definitely gonna sit down probably with you and play like one, and then be like, this is gonna be a year of my life if I say yes.
It'll be longer than that, my friend.
Yeah.
I mean, I finished the main story of Gloomhaven. I never finished all of the side stuff.
Yeah. Did you unlock the plague guy? The guy who throws poisons?
Yeah.
God, I always want to play him.
He's so
very
cool. He's very, very cool. He's very cool. Yeah. But that's all I had to say. It was really fun. The con was fun. And you know what the best part of the con was, Nick?
What?
That we got to go to it with our friends.
Yeah. Oh my God. So I do have to say, if you were gonna go to one of these cons, even for a day, just party up. It makes it way better. You can kind of all disappear into different things that you're interested in and then reconvene and be like, hey, this is what I just did, which is what we did a lot.
Yeah.
But it's also, I can't imagine going to one of those events and not being able to just sit down at a table with a group of friends and just like play a game and like chill out, because it is a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
And you can look for group. Like, you can definitely do it alone if like that's your thing. Like, I went alone.
Yeah.
The first year that I did in 2019, it was still fun, but it was just like we just had. I mean, like wide net people that I knew. I probably knew like 15 people there.
Yeah.
And it was sick. It was just sick, you know? So
fun.
yeah. That was my favorite
and
part.
shouts out to that weird Escape the Cave game that Anthony got.
Oh my God. What was it called? It was called
Escape, right?
Escape or Caves or Caverns or something.
Yeah, and
but it's like fast rolling dice game from like a million years ago.
Yeah, you all just literally get 5 dice and they have different symbols on it. And to get into different rooms, you have to roll different dice. But like there are symbols that will lock your dice, and you only have like the whole game is over in 10 minutes. You have to roll every 3 minutes, like the stone doors shut. And like if your person is not in the like safe area, you're like lose dice. It's very chaotic, very stressful, and very fun.
We played it like 5 times in a row.
Yeah, especially, and we couldn't even hear the like music or anything that it goes along with it.
So we just set timers.
Yeah, so we just set timers, and we were still like, this is great, we have to do this.
Yeah.
It was very fun.
Yeah.
All right, well, that was our PAX experience. If you guys are interested in learning more about PAX, you can go to the PAX website. You can also send us a question about anything that we talked about or things you want to know about PAX on our website, tabletoppod.com. And if you're interested in any specific thing that we talked about, just send us an email at tabletoppodcast@gmail.com, and I will send you an email back with whatever I know. If you are one of the people who I was talking about and didn't quite name, or one of the folks that I talked to at the convention to come on the pod, reach out. I gave you one of those business cards. I would really love to talk to you. I have some of yours as well. We'll be in touch soon. And thank you all for listening to this bonus episode of Tabletops. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you all for listening to another episode of Tabletop. My name is Nick Perrin. I'm the host here. If you'd like to get in touch with any of us, including me, head to our website, tabletoppod.com. We have a contact form there that goes straight to our personal emails. And everyone, if you could do me a huge favor, if you enjoyed the episode, tell some folks. Go down into your podcast app and write a quick review. I will read any new review that comes in the new year. I promise. Feel free to use that for good or for evil. You can write literally anything, and I will just be forced to read it. So feel free to do that now. If you would also like to share the episode with some of your friends, it is the best way for the podcast to gain new community members. And if you are interested in supporting the show, we do have a Patreon, we have a Discord. All of these things are at our website. Again, that is tabletoppod.com. All right, everyone, I hope you have a wonderful week.